In this video, I have some fantastic ideas for you to fill all those empty notebooks that I know that you have, so stay tuned. Hello and welcome back to my channel. Now, I know if you are like me, you have quite a few empty notebooks. Every time you go to the store, maybe you buy a new one. That's what I do. Maybe they're on your shelves, maybe they're hidden away in cupboards. Everyone who loves to plan, anyone who loves stationery will have empty notebooks somewhere. When the school supplies hit the shelves, they always have pretty ones. Anytime you go into a stationery shop, they're just calling your name. Then the problem becomes what to put in these notebooks, and that's where this video comes in. I do have an older video, but this one has brand new ideas. I absolutely love a new notebook. It's with its blank pages. For me, it's like a Monday morning. A fresh start, full of potential, hopeful, right? You can just do so much with this. But at the same time, those blank pages can be super overwhelming if we don't know what to put into them or where to start. I have 7 fantastic ways for you to actually fill up these notebooks and not just start them, not just have a purpose, but actually finish these notebooks so that you get to actually use the book, but then you also have that satisfaction of completion, of finishing the book. Okay, so let's get started. I think one of my favorite ways to use a notebook is to use it as sort of a to-do list. So this one is what I'm using now, and you may have seen this before Christmas when I talked about the planners that I was using. I just write out my to-do list for the day and a few notes on the side. It's messy and it's all over the place, but for me, it's completely organized the way my brain works. I've used this in the past and I've always finished them, and I always love going back and seeing what I was up to on a certain day. It's real life, right? It's really what happened, what I did that day, or what I didn't do if I didn't get it crossed off. This is more of a treasure to me than my polished scrapbooks, and I'm going to get into scrapbooking in a little bit, but it's a real look at what my life was like. So that is a great first way to use a notebook. To-do lists, your daily to-do lists. Another alternative to daily to-do lists is you could have maybe in a section of one of these, just your master to-do list of things that you can then populate into your planner or into your daily to-do list. This doesn't always have to get crossed off. You're always going to be adding to a master to-do list. Knowing that it will never end takes away the stress of feeling like you haven't finished it. The daily to-do lists get finished, but the master to-do list can be ongoing, and then you'll cross off things at the top, and then maybe pages in, there'll be lots of other things that are new and added to it. So having a book or having a place to keep all of your tasks and things that you want to do, your dreams even, or like future projects, having them all in one place is a really good way to fill up a notebook. And what about a daily diary? So number 3 is sort of a daily journal, something that's structured, even if you just write a couple of lines a day, but it has that structure of a daily entry so that when you look back, it's also a look at what life is like. It's probably not as raw as a to-do list, but it is still more genuine than a polished scrapbook page. If you aren't the structured type, if you don't think that you can keep up with a daily journal, then just pick it up when you can. Maybe it's once a week, maybe for a whole month you write every day and then you don't write in it for 6 months. But it is an account of what's going on, or maybe you have a special event and that's when you come and you write things in, and it doesn't have to be, dear diary, today I did XYZ. It's, this is how I'm feeling today, or so-and-so did this and it made me feel like this. It can allow you to go a little bit more deeper than a daily journal where you just kind of recount what you've done that day. So depending on whether you like the structure of a daily journal or one that's a little bit more flowy and less constricted or less structured, then you could choose between a daily journal or one that's a little bit less structured. I think number 5 is my favorite, and that is a scrapbook. Now, I don't mean the pretty polished scrapbooks where the journaling is very precise and edited and kind of perfect. These are great, these are really fun, but what I'm talking about is more of the traditional type of scrapbooking that we would have seen maybe 100 years ago, where people would not only write things in things that happened, but then they would also take pieces of their day, pieces of their lives, maybe magazine clippings, not that there's really many magazines anymore, but if you have a little card that you got in the mail, or ticket stubs, or the label off of your beer bottle, the pretty tag off of your new clothes, those types of things, you can just stick them in, write a little note where that came from, why it's important to you, and you can also sort of mix in the unstructured journaling as well and add journaling pages. You can mix in some doodles or some sketches or maybe a habit tracker here and there. It's a mix, sort of a compilation of all the things in your life that would make a treasure. It would be something for you to treasure, to look back. I remember when I went to that concert, or look what the tags from your favorite shop used to look like 10 years ago. So it's a fun way to kind of document life without the added pressure of making it perfect and pretty on a scrapbook page. This is one I'm actually going to start this year because those little pieces of paper, maybe you went out for tea with one of your best friends and you kept the little tea packet. Those things I like to keep, but they just sort of get cluttered around my office or my room and I don't have anywhere to put them. So I want to start putting them in some sort of little notebook album thing to keep them. If you are enjoying this video so far, please give it a big thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. Next week we'll be back with a video all about what to do with your last year's planner. Don't throw them away. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss that. Okay, let's get back into the next tip. Another idea is to maybe write in things that people have said to you, or it could be quotes that you found, maybe in a meme or maybe on Instagram or something, or in a book that you've read. Almost like a commonplace book where you can look them up. Or you could organize it so that you have it by person, or you can have tabs to tell you where people are or whatever. Or you can leave it unorganized so that you can randomly flip through and land on a quote. It could be a whole paragraph or page from a book that really speaks to you, and when you land on something randomly, it could really be something that you need to hear that day. And number 7 is kind of similar to this, but it's more of a compendium than a commonplace book. So it will be a collection of like things. So for example, it could be stories from your family, stories that your grandparents have told, stories that your parents have told, or your cousins or whatever, and it's a compendium of family stories. Or it could be just things that your children say, so it's a compendium of children's quotes, I guess, so that you can tell them maybe when they're older how cute they were when they were young. Or it could be all the things about your house that are sort of particular or things you'd like to remember, so it could be a compendium of your home. I really like the idea of having a collection of a common thing, something that's important to you, and having it in one book where you can keep it and sort of have it as almost a treasure. So for me, notebooks are not only pretty, like they look pretty on your shelf, but they also have so much potential to become a treasure with what you put inside them. So I've showed you these. Some of these have stuff written in them already, but these two, for example, are completely blank because they're just so pretty that I haven't written in them yet. I want them to have a purpose that's really important and a purpose that means something to me, so that when I do fill them up, they will become a treasure. I hope that you found that these 7 ideas can lead to something that could be a treasure for you. I do have another video with some ideas. I think there's 20 ideas plus a printable for 80 full ideas of what you can put into your journal. So I will link that video and the link to the printable below. So those are some more ideas that you can use to fill up your notebooks. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please subscribe, because next week I will be back with a video on what you can do with last year's planner. Do not throw out last year's planner because you can still use it, whether it's full and you're finished it or you just didn't use it and you want to repurpose it. So stay tuned for next week because you don't want to miss that. What is that? Is that off of that? Where did this come from? Adventure fell off of there. Okay. All right. Try again. Subscribe. There's an airplane. So stay tuned for next week to make sure you don't miss it. Subscribe now, and you can do that here by clicking on my little face. Here are 2 more videos that I think you will like. If you made it this far, leave me some sort of book or notebook emoji in the comments below. Have a fantastic day and happy planning.